Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us. Joining me is Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you.
We've got an August 21st meeting to talk about, plus a few meetings before that meeting, and then a lot happening in town as we head into fall time. There's a lot of events going on, so we'll get you up to date on those. But let's start, Heidi, with the meetings before the meeting. So
Yes.
there were a few special meetings with a couple specific topics.
Yep.
The first has to do with coal tar sealant, which probably most people aren't aware of, but tell us a little bit about why this is before the city.
Yeah, so this is a product that was used years ago, roughly within the last 5 years. It's not being used here anymore in the state of Minnesota, but basically it's kind of a sealant that was used on residential driveways.
Okay.
And typically a product that a consumer could go purchase at a Menards or a Lowe's, some type of hardware store. The product had some materials in it that now we're kind of dealing with in terms of sediment in storm ponds and whatnot, and so kind of increases our costs of doing clean out on those ponds. And so we're looking at, there's a number of cities that are looking at some litigation around that factor, and so we'll be meeting with the council and discussing that issue over the coming months. But yeah, so we're not sure what the end of the story is yet, but likely more discussion to come on that one.
All right, we'll keep you up to date on that. A few other items to touch on are some budget information. The Woodlands Mounds, it's hard to believe that that's as old as it is, but it's having some repair done. Tell us about the budget talk.
Yeah, so we've been working with our management company, Great Lakes Management, to put together kind of a 5-year capital plan, looking at what the capital needs of that building is going to be over the next 5 to 7 years. As you mentioned, we're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of that building being there, providing housing. And so, in fact, this year we just are finishing up a project where we needed to deal with some water intrusion in kind of the basement, the lower level of the building that was having some impacts. And so we did some water sealing along the foundation and whatnot. So if you've been by there, you probably don't drive by very often. It's kind of tucked back up there along Rice Lake. But so, you know, and projects like that are pretty costly. And so looking at what that capital budget is going to be over the next 5 to 7 years, and then what we need to do on the revenue side as well. So more discussion on that one. I think we'll be bringing forward that budget later here in the year, but we wanted to just kind of review that information with the council, and representatives from Great Lakes Management were there as well.
Very good.
Yes.
One other item for review before the main council meeting was I94, and we've talked about this quite a bit, transportation on that part of town, and I understand there's a group heading to Washington, D.C., not just Maple Grove. Tell us about who all is heading that direction soon here.
Yeah, so the I94 Coalition has gone to D.C. pretty much almost every year to go out and talk with our federal delegation out there about the need for investment in the I94 corridor. So this year, of course, Maple Grove is new to the I94 Coalition. We'll be sending a couple representatives along on the trip, myself and Councilmember Hanson, to represent Maple Grove's interests. You know, I think with the completion of the 494 improvement and then 694, of course, a few years ago, I think our focus really now turns to a couple things. I think we want to see the 610 connection completed and some capacity added up in that area between the northern end of Maple Grove and Rogers through Dayton, but also the Fish Lake split becomes a really important component because we're pushing a lot of volume to that split interchange there, and eventually we're going to need to make some improvement and then add some capacity up the corridor.
Right.
Not only for the traveling public and, you know, the movement, but also the movement of goods and services with freight. So it's an important issue for Maple Grove and for the growth of our business community here. So we'll be joining in that effort to kind of lobby for federal support for investment along the corridor.
That visit happens in mid-September, so as we get to the end of September and October, we'll give you an update on that. Now to the council meeting from the 21st. Again, it was a short meeting, about 22 minutes long. A number of items on consent and a few that were pulled from consent to talk about a little bit further, and some great news here, some donations coming to the city. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so support for a number of our public safety related programs were acknowledged on this agenda. Sam's Club has been a big supporter of the DARE program, so they contributed $1,500 in support of that. And of course, that's our drug abuse resistance education program that we conduct in the schools here in Maple Grove on an annual basis. Walmart also donated $2,500 to
Fantastic.
our Shop with a Cop program, which is a program that happens here every December where our cops are paired with youth from the community that might need some help during the holiday time to shop for their families, and Walmart provides the funding for that. So that's a great partnership. And then the Rotary Club of Maple Grove donated $2,000 towards the Police Explorers program, which of course is the kind of the teenage program for folks that might have an interest in the law enforcement area to get some training and development. So wonderful to have that community support
You
for the
bet.
police department and these activities. And so we really want to thank Sam's Club and Walmart and the Rotary Club for their contributions and helping us carry those programs forward.
Hats off to all of those groups. Moving ahead, one thing that happens on an annual basis in Maple Grove is some wildlife management, and there's a component to it that many people may not know about. Tell us about what you talked about at the council meeting and this little different twist to it.
Yeah, so on an annual basis, our police department reviews kind of areas that we need to focus on some wildlife management. So we're talking about Canadian geese, deer, those kinds of things.
Right.
Wild turkeys have become an issue in the community of
yes,
recent
that's
as
right.
well. So they go through and kind of review where we've had some deer conflicts, high areas for that, or we've had nuisance issues around, and then they develop kind of a wildlife management plan around that. In some of those areas, some hunting is allowed.
Right.
So one of the areas, kind of in the southwest area of the city, we also partner with Capable Partners, and so that is a group that gets people with disabilities out to do some hunting, and so that's kind of a nice partnership for the city for us to allow that kind of a group to come in and utilize that land to do some of that select hunting in those areas.
Very good. Let's move ahead to another item related to a resignation from the park board, and this is going to be a person that we're all going to be sad to see go. Tell us about Terry Sharp and his service to the city.
Yeah, so Terry Sharp has been a member of the park board for 6 years and has done great service. He's been kind of a great steward and fiduciary of resources there for the park board, and very astute in his review of the projects that have come before them. So I know that he's going to be sorely missed on the park board, but we really want to thank him for his service. I know he retired in the last couple of years, and I think is moving on to the next phase of life.
Good for him.
He says he'll be around. He was a big champion of the Portillo's project. If you recall, he was one of the ones that brought in his Portillo's hat when that project was coming forward. So I think on his way out, he said, I'll plan to see you at Portillo's.
Very
so
good. He'll have a table in the corner there.
He will. He'll hold court there. So he's not leaving the area too big, but yeah, we're going to miss him on the park board for sure. So thank you to Terry.
You bet.
Yep.
Special business now from the meeting on the 21st. Let's talk about a couple items, and we've talked TIF quite a bit over the past months, years. It seems like it has been tax increment financing, and finally things moving ahead to the next step. Tell us what happened here at the council meeting.
Yeah, so a couple steps required for us to, one, we needed to take action to accept the special legislation that was approved in the last legislative session. So there was a resolution to do that, to approve those laws that were adopted for the city of Maple Grove. And then we needed to establish a project area for the TIF legislation. And so basically it's generally the area of the gravel mining area, kind of east of Hemlock, and then all the way down to the 694 corridor on either side of Elm Creek Boulevard, and then all the way up to like Weaver Lake Boulevard. One parcel on the north of that, the Santa Fe Hilger site there, that kind of where the old dump site is.
Sure.
So that's included in it as well. The boundaries aren't real, they're a little jagged in some areas. We had to meet some different tests within the legislation about the % of the land that has a deficiency, and so we had to be a little strategic about what parcels were included and what ones were left out based on the condition of the soils. So this starts the ball rolling. Basically kind of puts that into effect. We've got the project area, and then we called for a public hearing on October 2nd. So that hearing will be happening beginning of October, and within that then we can start to establish TIF districts within that project area. The first project, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the Arbor,
let's go right ahead. So Dick Edwards was there to give a little update. So what is that project?
Yeah, so this is the first phase of what will be the Arbor Lakes Business Park. So this is the land south of Elm Creek Boulevard, just east of the fountains there. So kind of, and then 694, of course, is to the south. This project is at the north end there, up along Elm Creek Boulevard, the first phase of that. Duke is proposing on this project to do, the first building will be about 220,000 square feet of kind of premier office, flex space, office warehouse type space. Primarily what we're looking for there is good jobs, to bring good jobs to town, really kind of focused on that med tech industry, if possible. So that Arbor Lakes Business Park application will be in front of the Planning Commission next Monday night on the 28th, and will get reviewed there. But so we'll be looking at bringing that forward to again in October, along with this public hearing on the TIF assistance for that project.
Exciting times in that area. We've kept an eye on for quite some time.
Yes.
One other community development item that was updated by Dick Edwards was the Crave Wild Bills. People have been wondering, all right, we heard a lot about this.
Yes.
What's happening? Give us the latest. What is happening?
Yeah, so from a city perspective, I think they have what they need to move forward. We do know that there have been some interactions between the property owner and Kimco, which is kind of the property management company for that area. And they're working through some issues of kind of parking and cross easements on that and how that's all going to work out. So we just have been in the process of providing them some information that they've requested. We think that is about to wrap up and they're going to be able to move forward here, but we do get a lot of inquiries. When is that project going to happen? Is Wild Bills moving? What's happening there? But I think we just been kind of following along with what becomes kind of a private matter between those two parties, but hopefully we're hoping they'll still be able to get going yet this season.
Very good.
Yep.
Something that has been going this season and now is coming to a close is road construction. And Ken Ashfield was at the meeting to give it a little update, and it sounds like we've got some good pavement now in the city on a few roads. Tell us where those are.
Yeah, most of the street maintenance projects have kind of are starting to wrap up here, and I know I think it was last weekend they got Dunkirk paved.
Wonderful.
Over the weekend, and so I think everybody was really looking forward to that. Got the turn lane put in there and whatnot. So good to see those things completed, and then of course the Elm Creek Boulevard. The county did a quick overlay on that, and so it's nice to see some sharp-looking pavement out there for that project as well.
And while those wrap up, now talk goes to some other things that funding is needed for, and so Ken is busy with some applications. Tell us about this time of the year, and this is a process that has gone through on a regular basis by the city to look forward to new projects. Yeah,
so we've got a couple key projects that we're working on. The first one in terms of timing that's going to be coming up is the 169 Elm Creek Boulevard project, so kind of on the southeast corner of the city there. Pretty old interchange, been there for some time, has some difficult signal movements that I think has been a little bit of a, some accidents there and traffic concerns. But as we start to see more development occur in that southwest area along south of Elm Creek Boulevard in the gravel mining area, I think we've identified that that interchange needs to be, kind of move up the list in terms of priority. So this year we're going to be making an application. There's a program that provides funding for interchanges that have a big freight component to them, and this is an interchange that scores pretty well there, particularly with the gravel mining area operations that will remain there for the foreseeable, for forever possibly. And so we're hoping that we might be successful in garnering some of those freight dollars on that application. So that one's going forward here at the end of August. That's a pretty quick timeline. And then, of course, we'll continue to chase money for the completion of 610. So a big focus this year will be the Corridors of Commerce program. And that program was allocated some funding through this last legislative session, and so we'll be applying for that. We anticipate that those applications will come out later this fall, and then we might know something shortly after the first of the year about those funding selections for that.
Very good. All right, so there's the latest on transportation. One other item from the council meeting on the 21st was Heidi's updates about some things happening in town, and one of those items was the fire chief process. Where are we in that process now? Yeah,
so we've completed our first phase of interviews that are kind of more at the internal level. We had a fire department panel and then a director's panel. Now the finalist candidates are moving through kind of a management assessment process. And then interviews will be held with the city council the first week of September. We're also holding kind of a meet and greet type event for city staff and fire department staff to come and meet the candidates. So hoping to have that process wrapped up here and maybe have somebody on board October, November timeframe.
Very good. So that's your wrap up of the meeting from the 21st. Again, about 22 minutes long. Next meeting is on September 5th. We'll remind you of that in just a few minutes. But but now let's head throughout the town and just some of the other things that are going on. And one is a wellness video that has been made, and some of Maple Grove's finest are the stars in this. Tell us a little bit about Health Partners working with the city on this video.
Yeah, so Health Partners is our insurance, health insurance for the city, and so we do a lot with them to partner on various things for our wellness program for our employees. And so they picked us to do an employer spotlight video to kind of highlight our wellness program, and then of course the work that Health Partners does. So yeah, they came out they were in town they hired a production company, very professional production company. They came out and did interviews and got a lot of footage from town, from around town and various venues and events that are going on. But it's really a great insight into the wellness program in the city and how it's benefited a number of employees. But it also takes a broader look at the kind of the sense about wellness and health in the community of Maple Grove at large. And so some of our pickleball players were interviewed during the video.
I'm sure they loved that.
Yeah, they did, and they talked about the growth of the program, and there was a lot of discussion about getting couch potatoes off the couch and that kind of a thing. So we're really proud of this piece. We think it represents not only the city staff, but also the community really well, and kind of shows some of the success that's been had over the years in this area.
Congratulations to the city. If you want to take a sneak peek at that, it is on the city's website as well on their social media channel, so take a look at that video. All right, we thought we were done with construction talk, but no, not all the way. We've got a parking lot in town that really needs some attention. We've told you that this was coming. Now it's about here. Tell us about the community center lot.
Yeah, so this is the parking lot closest to the community center entrance, and if you've driven it, you've noticed that it's a bit of a roller coaster.
Kind of on the moon.
Yeah, we've had there's I think some soil issues under there that need to be corrected that haven't held that up real well. So this one's going to be there's going to be some pain associated with this and inconvenience. We waited till we got certainly through Maple Grove days, and then through the bulk of the summer to try to hit it in the fall late. Next Monday it starts the 28th. Just to try to reduce the inconvenience to folks. So yes, Monday, August 28th, that parking lot will become inaccessible. They will have some transportation available kind of from that corner out there by the second sheet of ice by the ice rink for those that have accessibility or concerns with walking and whatnot. So they're going to be helping with that. The other impact is for the farmers market. We're going to kind of shift the farmers market all the way to the west end of that parking lot and then leave some of that parking close up available during that event as well. So we ask for your patience and to bear with us during this time. There's going to be some inconvenience.
All right, but it'll be beautiful once it is done. Speaking of that area, let's talk about the town green. Again, we've got the season still going on, although wrapping up in early September. Tell us about a few of the acts that we can see.
Yeah, so coming up here real quick Friday night, which is tomorrow if you're watching this today, or tomorrow morning. So the Lego Batman movie will be there tomorrow evening. September 1, we have the Young Frankenstein double feature. That's, let's see, that's the following Friday night. And then I think Chris Hockey was scheduled to play at Town Green, and I think he got rained out a couple weeks ago, or it might have been last week. So they've got him rescheduled to come back on September 6th.
Very good.
So mark your calendar. I know it's the first week of school and we're kind of done with, edging out of summer there. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a beautiful evening there for September 6th with Chris Hockey. Other
items from the city, the Emerald Ash Borer still in the news, and the city again has a plan we've talked about many times. Tell us about where it is right now and what you're seeing in the city. Yeah, so we, of course, this last January discovered it kind of in the northwest or the middle part of the city up there along 89th. So we have been working with the Department of Agriculture to develop our management plan. I think one of the aspects we want to make residents aware of is a piece that we're going to be working on is the treatment of significant ash trees, and that there is, I think, more hope today than there was in previous years that could be a really good solution, and possibly, the thought is, if we treat for a period of time, do we make it past a certain period of time where the issue becomes less? So I don't know that there's answers to that yet today, but I think the Department of Ag is seeing some help or some good outcomes with treatment. And so we're going to be pursuing that angle in some areas where we have, we have
a beautiful boulevard of trees, of significant ash trees, and it would be really devastating to see, those go away and smaller trees planted. And so
Sure.
we're going to be working on that, but we also want to make sure residents know that there's information available on our website. There's a tree contractor there that's available, that if you want to pursue that treatment angle in your yard, there's some special rates to do that, and we're hopeful that that might be a good solution for some of our larger tree stock in town.
Excellent. So go to the website to find out more about that. We mentioned the Explorer post earlier because of the council meeting, and again, that great donation, but we've got the Police Explorers and the Fire Explorers getting ready for action this fall and looking for people to get involved. Tell us a little bit about what those two opportunities are.
Yeah, so the Police Explorer program is for young men and women ages 14 to 20 who are interested in learning about policing, potential law enforcement careers, and then they have a lot of opportunity to interact with officers and see how they do their work on the street day to day.
Right.
So we're hosting a Police Explorers informational meeting on Monday, September 11th at 7 p.m. It'll be at the North Metro Range there, up off of 89th Avenue. So, and parents are welcome and encouraged to attend as well if you have a young person that's interested in your home. You're not required to register for this meeting, so you can just go ahead and attend.
Excellent.
Yes.
Information on the city's website. And turn the page over if you're interested in firefighting as opposed to police. You have an opportunity there as well.
Yeah, so we have a a Fire Explorer program, and so this is kind of the same. This is the age group 14 to 21, and so this is for young men and women who might be interested in learning more about the fire service.
Great.
And there's also opportunities for them, to build some team building skills, their communication skills, participate in public education events. The Fire Explorers meet twice a month on the second and fourth Sundays at 6 p.m. at Fire Station number 2 that's off of Maple Knoll Way. So there's information on our website about who to contact if you're interested in this program. There's a couple email addresses to email, but we encourage people to take a look at that if you're interested.
All right, youngsters, get out there and get involved.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about the parks in the city, and again, some of the input that's been asked from the residents. And we've got a deadline coming up that's September 8th. So tell us how the input's coming in and why people should respond before the deadline.
Yeah, so this is part of our comp plan update, of course, and park systems, our park and recreation systems are certainly a part of that. So the park board is garnering, asking for your feedback on your experiences with our parks and our trails and the community center, and that information is being gathered through September 8th. There's an online survey that you can tap into from our website. Also, there's they call it a My Social Pinpoint. It's kind of an app that you can get to on your phone, and you can kind of provide real-time feedback if you're at a park and you see something you like, or you see something that, boy, I wish we could reinvest here. You can make note of that there, and I think the park board has already seen some of that feedback coming back, and I think it'll be very helpful as they work through this park system plan update. All
right, and we'll talk about some of the results as time marches ahead here. Soon you're going to see some new photos on the website and social media. That's because you've been busy taking pictures, and it's about the end of that process. Tell us where we are now with the photos in town.
Yeah, so we received over 400 photographs.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great. And so we really appreciate everybody that took the time to not only take the pictures, but also get them submitted online. So winning photographers will be invited to the September 18th City Council meeting to be recognized. And then, we do use these pictures in all of our publications. We really like it to be, local. It's so much more fun than getting clip art or, buying pictures off the internet. So this is a great way to represent the community. So, and I know you get to be part of the judging, so you have a tough task ahead of you.
Oh my goodness, there are so many, so it'll be a fun process, but look for those coming soon. We've got a retirement to talk about. A long-time helper in the recreation area is hanging it up. Tell us about Mark.
Yeah, Mark Sari is going to be retiring. He's been our superintendent of recreation for many years, and we'll be recognizing him on Tuesday afternoon. So next week, the 29th, an event at the community center from 3 to 4, program at 3:30. So we just really want to thank Mark for his leadership over the last almost 30 years. I think he's been around, and many significant projects have been completed during his tenure, from the sports dome, the community gymnasium, second sheet of ice. Those are all things that he's helped oversee, and then all the recreational programs that are happening within them. So it's been a fun ride for Mark, but we're going to miss him.
And he has left his mark in town. I'm sure he's never heard that before, but thanks, Mark, for all your work there. You mentioned Farmers Market. Again, there'll be a little shift because of the work on the parking lot here, but tell us about that season. It continues to march on and been very successful.
It does, yeah, and now we're going to kind of get into the fall types of vegetables and fruits and whatnot. So staying on that Thursday afternoon, 3 to 7 March here through October, and then we'll move inside for the winter. But I think we've had great attendance this summer. We've only had a couple times where we've had weather disruptions, so we've been thankful for that. So if you haven't been out yet this year, you still have some weeks to make that happen.
Yeah, get out there, enjoy some great people there. It's hard to believe as well that it's time for the state fair. It's already going as we tape this, so the shuttle is available for people. And tell us about that neat service out at your transit center.
Yeah, weekends only from the Arbor Lakes Transit Center there, right in Arbor Lakes. You can see it from 694 there. So buses operate every 30 minutes from 8 a.m. to midnight. The parking is free there, but we don't allow overnight parking in that ramp. Round trip fare is only $5. They only accept cash, so you want to make sure that you have cash on hand. Let's see, children age 4 and under ride free, and then of course it drops off at the lovely new bus facility that they've constructed over there. That's kind of more on the north side of the fairgrounds, up by the new Heritage Square. Had the opportunity to experience that last year. Took the bus from Maple Grove, got dropped off there. It's slick.
Perfect way to head down.
Plan to do it this Sunday.
Yeah, avoid that traffic.
Yeah.
All right, Citizens Police Academy. Quickly, we want to throw that out, that this is available for residents of the city of Maple Grove, and great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the police department for adults. Tell us about this.
So on an annual basis, our police department operates a Citizen Police Academy. It's an 11-week program that meets Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 9:30, and they kind of move it around based on the topic every week. Runs September 27th through December 13th. This is a free program, free of charge. And I do know there's been a lot of interest in the past, and so if you are interested, you might want to reach out pretty quickly here. Application deadline is September 15th. You have to be a Maple Grove resident, student, or business representative, and at least 16 years of age. And there's a little background check associated with it. So if you're interested, you might want to reach out pretty quickly here.
Great opportunity. Our final note today is a very happy note, and it's hard to believe this occurrence as well. 20 years for the Maple Grove Community Center. I cannot believe that. And you've got some planning going on for a big celebration. Tell us when, what happens. Yeah, so on October 21 and 22, that's over a weekend, Saturday, Sunday weekend, they're going to be having kind of the 20-year celebration for the community center. During that weekend, you can purchase an all-building family day admission for $20, and that gets you into the building for lots of activities and fun. And they're going to have more information on the community center website. But yeah, hard to believe that community center's been around that long, and it's served the community well. Millions of visitors over that period of time. So we're really happy to be able to celebrate this milestone. All right, make sure you stop by again. That's in October, so we'll talk about that a few more times. Prizes, giveaways, all sorts of stuff, even trivia about the community center. So study up and be ready for that. So that is all we have for today's program. Heidi, thank you very much for joining us and all the information. We want to leave you with some contact information. Again, we mentioned a lot and referenced the website quite a few times. So if you want to head there, maplegrovemn.gov. Place to find out information about some of those Explorer programs we talked about and some of the other things that are coming up in the city. The next meeting, by the way, is on Tuesday, September 5th. It's moved back a day because of the holiday, 7:30 p.m. 494-6000 is the number to the Government Center, and 763-533-1710 via response line. Questions or comments for the program, we would love to address them here. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.